The moment Sanders stood up in that locker room, everything changed, not just for Cleveland, but for the entire AFC North. The quarterback's declaration that Kevin Stefanski had to be removed split the Browns down the middle, but it didn't stop there. Teams like Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and Cincinnati are already circling, ready to exploit the chaos. And with ownership scrambling to assess the fallout, rival franchises sense weakness, not just in coaching, but across the entire organization. Sanders' words didn't just spark a feud. They opened the door to a power shift in the division.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Whether the Browns respond with bold action or try to downplay the crisis, the result will define their competitive future. The internal fracture has left the team exposed, and if Cleveland doesn't act fast, the fallout could hand their rivals the upper hand for seasons to come. There are locker room outbursts. There are tense sideline exchanges. And then there's what happened in Cleveland. After yet another deflating loss to division rival Pittsburgh, Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback brought in the finely stated Browns offense and lead them into a new era, stood up and said the words that ripped the lid off a fragile organization already close to cracking. We're not going to win until Kevin Stefanski is gone. Just like that, a team already teetering on the edge tipped into crisis mode. This wasn't a media leak. This wasn't a quote taken out of context. According to multiple insiders, Sanders walked into an impromptu post-game meeting and called out the head coach, directly and unequivocally, not in private, not through an agent, in front of the entire team and staff. That moment sent shockwaves, not just the Browns locker room, but through the entire NFL. One sentence from Sanders became the match that lit a fire under years of mounting dysfunction. To say this was unprecedented would be underselling it. Quarterbacks, especially rookies, rarely confront head coaches in front of the team. It's not just bold. It's a direct challenge to the structure of authority. It forces ownership, executives, and players to pick sides. It turns frustration into a referendum. And in Cleveland, it has already exposed just how shaky that structure really is. Players aren't just quietly grumbling anymore. Veteran teammates have reportedly come out in support of Sanders' message. That's critical. When seasoned pros, guys who've been through coaching changes, who know what dysfunction smells like, stand behind a rookie QB in a public rift with the head coach, that's not noise. That's a mutiny. The locker room, once divided, is now fully fractured. Some are choosing sides. Others are staying silent, but that silence speaks volumes. In the NFL, neutrality during a leadership crisis usually means one thing: fear. Fear of being next. Fear of being labeled. Fear of being caught in the fallout. But it's not just the players who are rattled. Ownership is livid. Reports indicate D. Haslam is furious. Not just at Sanders' statement, but at how the situation spiraled out of control in full view of the football world. And it's not just about the optics. It's about credibility. The Browns spent years trying to rebuild their image. Now, in a matter of days, that image is being peeled apart like old wallpaper. Internally, the pressure is unbearable. Publicly, the silence is deafening. And that silence, it's making everything worse. Because right now, every hour that passes without a response from leadership only reinforces a perception that no one's in charge. No coach has stepped up to defend their position. No GM has come forward to calm the waters. No statement has been issued acknowledging the divide. Meanwhile, social media is on fire. Sports media is running nonstop coverage. Fans are exhausted. And Shedeur? He's waiting. This isn't just a quarterback asking for a new scheme. It's not about adjusting the playbook or shifting the offensive line. This is a demand for institutional change. Sanders didn't just critique his coach. He issued an ultimatum. And the front office can't afford to pretend otherwise. They now face an impossible decision. Remove the head coach mid-season to back their quarterback, or keep Stefanski and risk alienating the one player they cannot afford to lose. That's the real risk here. If they back Stefanski, they may lose Shedeur. And not just mentally, not just emotionally. They could lose him permanently. This is the Browns' defining moment. A fork in the road with consequences that stretch far beyond this season. And make no mistake, rival teams are watching. The rest of the AFC North is circling. Baltimore, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. They're seeing Cleveland as wounded, distracted, and vulnerable. They're ready to exploit this collapse. And the Browns are giving them every reason to believe it's coming. The coaching situation, if left unresolved, will impact every part of the organization. Player morale, game performance, practice intensity, draft strategies, even future free agent decisions. Word spreads fast in the league, and no top-tier player wants to walk into a team where the quarterback is on one side and the coach is on the other, and ownership refuses to make a call. Then there's the broader message being sent to the locker room. Right now, every player in that building is asking themselves the same thing. Who are we playing for? And the worst answer a team can have is, no one knows. The longer Stefanski stays without a clear vote of confidence or a clear plan for resolution, the more the situation festers. Players won't speak up publicly, but they'll speak with their effort, with their commitment, with their body language on the field. That's how teams fall apart in real time. And for Sanders, this isn't just a power play. It's about leadership, about taking a stand when it's unpopular, about doing what most young quarterbacks wouldn't dare to do. Call out the system from inside the machine. And whether people agree with how he did it or not, the fact remains. He spoke a truth that many inside that building have been too afraid to say. There's a reason veteran players backed him. They know what bad leadership looks like. They've lived through coaching changes that come too late, after the damage is done. Sanders gave them a moment to rally around, a reason to believe that maybe, just maybe, someone in the building sees a bigger picture. But if ownership fails to act, that belief disappears. And once belief is gone, it's over. You lose the trust of the quarterback, the locker room, and the fan base in one sweep. And you don't get that back with a late-season PR statement. You don't rebuild morale with a coaching change in February. You fix this now, or you don't fix it at all. And that brings us to the hardest truth for the Browns. If they let this fester, if they delay, deny, or deflect, they will not just lose Shedeur Sanders. They will lose their future. Because this isn't a rebuild year. This was supposed to be the breakthrough year. This was supposed to be the moment Cleveland finally got it right. Star quarterback, solid roster, upward momentum. Instead, it's unraveling faster than anyone thought possible. And it all started with one sentence. One quarterback standing up and saying what everyone else was too scared to say. So now all eyes are on the Browns. Not for their play on the field, but for how they handle the biggest leadership test they've faced in years. Do they back the quarterback they handpicked to lead the future? Or do they cling to a coaching regime that's already lost a locker room? That's the question. And the longer they avoid it, the clearer the answer becomes. For the players, the fans, and the league. So what do you think? Is this the final straw for Kevin Stefanski? Should the Browns clean house and build around Shedeur Sanders? Or has the damage already gone too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like if you're following every twist in this saga. And make sure to subscribe, because this drama in Cleveland isn't over. Not even close. The Cleveland Browns aren't just dealing with a quarterback-coach conflict. They're living through a full-on identity crisis. One sentence from Shedeur Sanders exposed what insiders have whispered for weeks and what fans have screamed from the rooftop for years. This franchise has no direction. And now, thanks to one brutally honest confrontation after a loss to Pittsburgh, everyone is forced to face that truth out loud. Because when a quarterback walks into a locker room, looks around the veterans, the coaching staff, the trainers, the team leadership, and says, "We're not going to win until Kevin Stefanski is gone," you don't come back from that with a team bonding trip and a few padded media interviews. You either change course or you implode. Right now, Cleveland is inching dangerously close to the latter. Let's be real. This wasn't a surprise explosion. This was pressure building over time. Weeks of humbling losses, questionable game plans, sideline confusion, and what looks more and more like a disconnect between leadership and players. Everyone saw the signs. Stefanski's command of the locker room has been slipping. You could see it in the body language. You could hear it in post-game interviews. And now, it's undeniable when your starting quarterback says the team will not succeed under the current head coach, And when multiple veteran players nod in agreement, you no longer have a debate about locker room chemistry. You have a fracture that can only be fixed by one thing: decisive leadership. But here's the real issue. No one's leading. Kevin Stefanski hasn't addressed it. Andrew Barry hasn't addressed it. D. Haslam hasn't addressed it. Everyone in the front office is either holding their breath hoping it blows over, or trying to figure out how to navigate the political fallout without looking weak. But here's the thing. They already look weak. Because power in the NFL doesn't just come from your title. It comes from your ability to hold a locker room together when it starts to fall apart. And Stefanski, he lost that power the second Shedeur said what most of the team was already thinking. Let's be honest. This isn't just a Shedeur-Sanders problem. He didn't create the dysfunction. He didn't sabotage a winning culture. He called it out. Loudly. Directly. And, yes, controversially. But that doesn't make him the villain. That makes him the one guy who stopped pretending everything was fine. He spoke out because no one else would. And now, the Browns have to decide if they're going to punish him for breaking the silence, or listen to what he's actually saying. Because if you're paying attention, this is about more than one man. It's about a culture that's been unstable for years. About players who are tired of being told to trust the process that clearly isn't working. And about a quarterback who knows that if he doesn't speak up, no one will. And that's the part that ownership can't ignore. You can't build a team around a quarterback and then go silent when he demands accountability. You can't claim to be a player-first organization, then stand still while your players publicly lose faith in their coach. If the Browns stay quiet now, they send one message and one message only. Leadership doesn't care what the players think. And when that message hits the locker room, you lose the team. For good. Every player in that building is watching to see what happens next. If Stefanski stays and Sanders is left out in the cold, don't be surprised when the energy in practice tanks. When the locker room splits even further. When guys stop buying in because they know that honesty is punished and silence is rewarded. And when that happens, the losses keep piling up. The media gets louder. And eventually, the front office is left trying to fix a disaster they could have avoided. And let's not forget, this is all unfolding while division rivals watch with glee. Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, they don't have to worry about internal dysfunction right now. They're focused. They're prepared. And they're watching Cleveland unravel from the inside. This is a gift to the rest of the AFC North. A once promising Browns team now caught in a war between the quarterback and the coach, while management fumbles in the dark, try to avoid making a real decision. And it gets worse. Because this isn't just a Browns problem anymore. It's a league-wide spectacle. Shedeur's statement dominated social media for days. Analysts are still breaking it down. Former players are weighing in. And front offices across the NFL are taking notes. This is how fast a franchise can fall from the inside. One spark. One player. One moment of truth. And if Cleveland doesn't act soon, that one moment will define them for years to come. Let's talk about long-term consequences, because they're coming whether the Browns are ready or not. First, there's a real risk of losing Shedeur Sanders. If the organization chooses to back Stefanski and bury this incident, they're effectively telling Sanders his voice doesn't matter. And when quarterbacks feel unheard, they don't stick around. And no, this isn't drama. This is precedent. Plenty of quarterbacks have forced their way out over less, especially when they're young, talented, and already have league-wide attention. If you think Shedeur wouldn't attract suitors the second he's unhappy, you're kidding yourself. And once he's gone, it's back to square one. Again, another rebuild, another draft, another quarterback search, and another reason for fans to stop believing. Then there's the damage to the Browns' reputation. What free agent wants to walk into a building where the locker room is divided and the franchise quarterback is fighting the coaching staff? What veteran wants to join a team where player leadership gets silenced instead of supported? That kind of chaos scares off talent. It kills momentum. And it keeps teams stuck in mediocrity. And here's the worst part. This didn't ever happen. The Browns had a rare opportunity. A young quarterback with confidence, maturity, and backing from the locker room. That's the kind of leadership you build around. That's the foundation of a winning team. And instead of embracing that leadership, the franchise hesitated, froze, and let the moment get away from them. It's not too late to fix it, but the window is closing fast. Backing Stefanski at this point means betting against the locker room, against the fans, and against your future. Keeping him in place doesn't restore order, it deepens a fracture. It tells your players that performance doesn't matter, that leadership doesn't matter, that speaking the truth gets you punished. Firing Stefanski wouldn't be a concession. It would be accountability. It would be ownership admitting that the direction hasn't worked, and that now is the time to course correct before it's too late. And supporting Shedeur Sanders doesn't mean handing him the keys to the franchise unchallenged. It means recognizing that he is the franchise. He's the centerpiece, the cornerstone, the one player on the roster who, if handled correctly, could turn this team into a contender. But if they get this wrong, if they wait too long, they won't just lose him. They'll lose everything. The Cleveland Browns are now on a timer. The clock is ticking, not toward kickoff, but toward collapse. This isn't about a win-loss record anymore. This is about credibility. And the only thing worse than public dysfunction is leadership pretending it doesn't exist. Shedeur Sanders put it all on the table. A direct challenge. A very public line in the sand. We will not win until Kevin Stefanski is gone. It doesn't get more black and white than that. He didn't hedge. He didn't soften it. He spoke with the kind of finality that forces decisions. And now, the franchise is doing nothing. That nothing, it's louder than the outburst. Every day the Browns don't act is a statement. A declaration that comfort matters more than clarity. That silence is easier than leadership. That they're willing to gamble their future on the idea that this will somehow blow over. Spoiler, it won't. Because this moment isn't about the blow-up. It's about everything that led to it. This wasn't a one-off emotional outburst from a frustrated player. This was the inevitable boiling point after weeks of poor performance, internal division, and a head coach who, despite his title, had clearly lost the room. Players don't speak out like this unless they've been pushed. And quarterbacks, especially young quarterbacks, they don't risk everything unless they know there's no other way. So now the Browns are staring at two choices. Both hard, both messy. One might save the team. The other burns it down. Option 1, support your quarterback. Remove Stefanski. Take control of the narrative. Clean up the locker room and build forward with the player everyone knows is your franchise centerpiece. Option 2, dig in. Back your coach. Try to discipline or isolate Shedeur. Hope the noise dies down. Hope the games get easier. Hope the losses don't mount. Hope the locker room forgets what it heard and saw. And hope that most fragile and unreliable of strategies, that your quarterback sticks around. If your ownership, that shouldn't even be a decision. Because this isn't just about one player versus one coach. This is about identity, culture, direction. Do the Browns want to be the team that backs a stale system because it's familiar? Or the one that listens to its locker room and course corrects before the ship sinks? The rest of the league is watching, and not just fans or analysts. Players, agents, prospects. Everyone is evaluating how Cleveland handles this moment because it sets a precedent. If you're a young star thinking about Cleveland as your next move, what are you seeing right now? A quarterback brave enough to speak the truth, or a franchise too scared to act on it? That answer will matter for years. And let's not pretend this is isolated. This is the Browns. The same team that has cycled through head coaches, offensive coordinators, GMs, quarterbacks, team culture resets, and PR overhauls more times than fans can count. The same franchise that always seems one step away from turning the corner, until it slams headfirst into itself. This was supposed to be different. Shedeur Sanders was supposed to be the difference. He was supposed to be the moment the Browns stopped trying to fix things with duct tape and finally built something real. He's confident, talented, and clearly unafraid to lead. And now, just months into his rookie season, he's watching the team he committed to spiral from the inside. It's not just disrespectful. It's tragic. And here's the cold truth. If Cleveland doesn't fix this immediately, they'll lose him. Maybe not tomorrow. Maybe not in the next game. But the damage is already happening. Quietly, irreversibly, a quarterback can keep smiling for the cameras. He can toe the line in interviews. But once trust is gone, it doesn't come back. The Browns can't afford to wait this out. The longer they delay, the harder the recovery. Every game that Stefanski stays on the sideline, every team meeting where leadership tries to move forward without addressing the elephant in the room, it chips away at whatever unity the team still has left. And let's be real, winning won't fix this. You don't band-aid this kind of fracture with a field goal or a lucky bounce. Because even if the Browns steal a win, even if Stefanski holds on for a few more weeks, the damage is internal, cultural, structural. It doesn't heal until the source of the division is addressed and removed. Some people might say Shedeur crossed a line, that rookies shouldn't speak like that there's a hierarchy in the NFL for a reason. But those people are missing the point. Shedeur didn't break the team. He exposed that it was already broken. He said the words no one else wanted to say because he had to. He took the risk. He stood up. And that alone proves he has more leadership instincts than half the people currently employed to manage that locker room. So the Browns are out of excuses, out of time, and dangerously close to being out of future. You can't run a team on denial. You can't build a contender on silence. At some point, you either confront the chaos or become it. Cleveland is right there. One decision away from stabilizing or spiraling. They need to pick a side. And if they choose wrong, they'll become the franchise that let its star quarterback walk. Not because he couldn't win, but because they refused to. Let us know where you stand. Are the Browns handling this crisis the right way? Or are they sleepwalking into another disaster? Should Shedeur be supported for speaking the truth? Or should the franchise protect the coach no matter the cost? Leave your thoughts and comments. Hit like if you've been glued to this saga just like we have. And subscribe for more deep dive breakdowns on the most chaotic, unfiltered moments in sports. Because if Cleveland doesn't wake up soon, this saga ends the same way all Brown sagas do. Wasted potential. And the next quarterback waiting in line.